Hello and welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Antec Storm series of fans, specifically the Storm 120 and the Storm 120 T3. This is part of my redone series where I redid my whole noise testing analysis methodology and upgraded it to a new form. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get right into a little bit of explanation and some data in detail. All right, first up is the cooler test, noise normalized through my CPU air cooler, which is the Noctua U12A. The Storm original was ranked 17th. It is now ranked 19th, so it lost a little position there. The Storm T3 was ranked 15th. It is now ranked 39th, so it lost a very large portion of its position. At 100% PWM fan signaling, the Storm 120 was ranked 16th. It still retains that position. The Storm T3 is ranked 13th overall. In value proposition, noise normalized through the CPU air cooler, the Storm was ranked 3rd. It is now ranked 5th, so a little bit of loss in position there. The Storm T3 was ranked 2nd. It is now ranked 12th. At 100% PWM fan signaling, the Storm was ranked 7th and retains that position, and the Storm T3 is ranked 4th overall. CFM testing, noise normalized. The Storm 120 was ranked 11th. It is now ranked 13th. The Storm T3 was ranked 13th. It is now ranked 28th. 100% PWM fan signaling, CFM testing, the Storm is ranked 16th and retains that position. The Storm T3 is ranked 9th and retains that position. Value proposition for the CFM testing, noise normalized. The Storm was ranked 1st. It is now ranked 5th. The Storm T3 was ranked 3rd. It is now ranked 8th. CFM value proposition, 100% PWM fan signaling. The Storm T3, or regular Storm, was ranked 4th. It retains that position. The Storm T3 was ranked 3rd and retains that position. And my case simulation test, 6-inch mark, noise normalized. The Storm was ranked 17th and is now ranked 21st. The Storm T3 was ranked 16th. It is now ranked 34th. At the 11-inch mark, noise normalized, case simulation test, the Storm was ranked 32nd. It is now ranked 41st. The Storm T3 was ranked 41. It is now ranked 42. Value proposition, 6-inch mark, noise normalized. The Storm 120 was ranked 4th. It is now ranked 6th. The Storm T3 was ranked 3rd. It is now ranked 9th. At the 11-inch mark, noise normalized. Value proposition, case simulation test. The Storm 120 was ranked 22nd. It is now ranked 41st. And the Storm T3 was ranked 32nd. It is now ranked 42. Okay, now we're on to the specific graphs. First graph is the case simulation airflow test. So there are two primary ways of taking a look at this. One is a scientific type way, and the other is much more practical, and it has to do with what size case do you actually plan on buying. So from left to right, do you plan on buying a large case, something like the Fractal Design Torn or other full tower cases? The 14.5-inch mark is the key data point that will be of most interest to you. Do you plan on buying a mid-tower case, something like the Corsair 500 series or 50 series, depending on their current numbering system, or the Fractal Meshify 2 series, something like that would be the 11-inch mark. Or do you plan on buying a compact tower, something that is just a little bit bigger than the motherboard that fits inside of it, if you're looking at a standard ATX motherboard. So it'd be a very short tower overall, and you'd be fitting a rather small graphics card in it. That'd be representative of the 9-inch mark. Or do you plan on buying a small form factor case that is still a front-to-back airflow design, and that would be representative of the 6-inch mark. The 6 right here we have noise normalized, distance versus air speed. This teal line is my control fan. It is 3 parts A12 Extern 5 to 1 part A14. 140mm class fans tend to do better at the 11 and 14.5-inch mark, while smaller 120mm class fans tend to do better at the 6 and 9-inch mark. Mind, every type of fan is a little bit different, and the way they do the airflow does vary results wildly. So kind of a case in point right here. The Storm 120 just goes from 6 at actually pretty good airflow to drops to terrible very rapidly by the 9-inch mark. So it indicates that it just shoots air in any direction, and it's got very poor engineering done in the fan in terms of either the frame design or in the blade design. And the Storm T3 isn't really much better. It also has a very steep drop off in terms of its air speed, indicating that they basically just slapped together this fan and didn't do much extra work to optimize it in any way, shape, or form. How are things looking at 100% PWM fan signaling? Well, not much better overall. I mean, the air speeds are higher, but they still drop off pretty significantly indicating what I was basically saying before. So how do they compare against other fans? Well, at the top here, we have like the A12 Extreme 25, the P12, and well, a bunch of other fans you can see on the graphs. Now the Storm series, they start off actually halfway reasonable, but they're still below the top end. But they just drop off so steeply, and this green line right here is the NFS12A. It's what I consider anything around it to be a very poor performing fan. They drop below that fan. At 100% PWM fan signaling, or PWM signaling, they do perform better than the S12A, but not by a significant margin. The only way that they're at all reasonable is in a short throw distance. So if you're looking at using them as bottom fans in your case to blow up towards your GPU, exhaust, and we'll look at heat sinks in a little bit, but exhaust would be fine. Short throw distance, they would be adequate, but anything in a bigger case, I would just stay away from these fans. That's what it's looking like. Now, their noise efficiency. This can be taken at any data point, but I chose the 9-inch mark for doing this graph. The Storm 120 starts off really, really badly, and then finally starts kicking up airspeed and climbs kind of nicely, but by that point it's so far back from the leading fans that it's not even worth considering. The Storm T3, on the other hand, is sitting right at the bottom of the graphs, but does kind of better overall. But there's a lot of it gains efficiency right there, and then it flat lines, gains a little bit, and then flat lines, leading it to well below where other fans have placed. To airspeed through my CPU air cooler. My cooler is the Noctua U12A. It is a thicker single tower air cooler. To better simulate a radiator type scenario, I don't have a radiator yet, so I know it's not quite the same, but a lot of newer heat sinks have a more dense fin stack, while a lot of older style ones tend to be a little bit wider spaced. So I figure that this is kind of a good middle ground between the two. And it shows rough performance, like an ideology of, hey, this fan is going to do better at pressure scenarios than something else. Now onto these graphs specifically. So on both of them, better fans are going to be sitting in the top left, worse fans are going to be sitting in the bottom right, and the left graph is RPM versus airspeed. So this is basically fundamentally a blade efficiency graph. It is how good is this blade design at pushing air at a given RPM. And it is, once again, versus my standardized control fan. And we can see that they actually are pretty good blade designs at pushing air through a heatsink or a radiator. But once we take a look at noise efficiency, so that's what this right graph is. Noise versus airspeed. Airspeed is vertical, noise is horizontal. They are underperforming by a little bit, but not by as much as we saw before. The Storm T3 is actually quite a bit noisier. It gets away from the others, comes back, drifts away a little bit, comes back. So it's a little bit less reliable in that regard. The regular Storm, on the other hand, fits rather closely to my control fan, but it is quite a bit underneath it. Now, how do they compare against other fans? Let me explain. If, let's say, you have the FK120, it's moving 0.6 meters per second of air for my noise normalized value of 12 decibels. If you upgrade to the Storm 120, you're now pushing 1.1 meters per second of air for that same noise level. So where do these two fans fit in? Well, the Storm T3 is actually noise normalized, a pretty poor performer overall, sitting right towards the bottom of the graphs, while the Storm Regular is actually sitting in a pretty good position overall. It is beating out in its noise efficiency here, the TLG12, the value king. But how are things looking at 100% PWM fan signaling? And again, over here we have the wattage to airspeed equation simulation. Well, over here we have the fan name, the RPM it was running, and the noise level it generated. The Storm T3 was generating 32.5 decibels of noise. Now, look at the P12 Max. It's only generating 27.9. So it's a very noisy fan for 2.1 meters per second of air. Now, the amount of air it moves is very impressive. It's just noisy doing it. The regular storm is 23.3 decibels. That is a lot quieter. So I either got a lemon for the T3, or there really is that much of a noise difference between these two fans. I would need to do more testing to narrow that down and acquire more fans and do more testing. But as it stands, the regular storm is actually pretty noise efficient for its overall airspeed, and you can see it based on other fans around it. Now, to drive home the point that I'm trying to make about noise and airspeed, we have cooler airspeed versus decibel rating. So the Storm T3 is right here sitting right at the bottom, and then it has a steep jump up in terms of overall performance where I must be nearing a harmonic, or it's a blade efficiency mark where the fan just becomes really efficient all of a sudden, and then it kind of levels out a little bit. So it actually becomes really noisy for how little air it's pushing by the end. While the regular storm seems to climb and climb and climb, but just not quite as steeply and as suddenly as the T3. Next, we're into the CFM testing. So the control fan, the Storm, and the Storm T3 all line up perfectly with each other in terms of RPM versus CFM, despite us knowing that the Storm series spews air off to the sides. So it's really a case in point here. This looks much more like the data we got from the air going through the CPU cooler. Now, over here in noise efficiency, we are seeing a little bit of deviation, meaning that these two fans are a lot less noise efficient than the control fan. The Storm T3 doing particularly badly at a couple key points. Now, how do they compare against other fans I've tested? The Storm 120 is sitting over the Storm T3 once again. The Storm is actually in a pretty good position overall, around some other really high ranking fans. At 100% PWM fan signaling, we do see some similar results to what we saw before. And here we see that the A12X25 is right behind the regular Storm. And it's much quieter. So we have the Storm series. They're sitting, they have an efficiency range in here where they're actually pretty well ranked, but then they become very noisy at the upper end of their RPM, and they're not very noise efficient at the lower end either. So you have to hit this optimal range here in the middle, and hopefully you're not exiting that range. And that goes for the Storm T3 as well, where it has an efficiency range, a really small one actually, like right here. And anything outside of that is just particularly noisy. So both these two fans are $12 fans. However, they do come in triple packs. So you have to take that into account. So if you just need one fan, this may not be the way to go. But if you need 3 fans, it's $12 per fan, so you get the total price. So then, what are we taking a look at here? Well, on the left side, we're going to have noise normalized performance. On the right side, we're going to have 100% PWM fan signaling. And so first up is the 6-inch mark noise case simulation test. The Storms actually rank fairly well here overall, and it's just because the fans are so cheap. So a lot of fans I've tested have ended up being around $20 plus. So that's got to tell you something. So the fact that they're $12 really helps with their value proposition here. But they're a far cry away from my top value fans. So the TLG12 is just the king. How about at the 11-inch mark? Well, if we're taking a look at the Storms and noise normalized performance, they are effectively 0. So they are a do not buy for bigger cases. Just right there. At 100%, but if you are 100%, they're bottom middle of the road. How about to the CPU air cooler, noise normalized? Both of them are actually pretty good, with the regular Storm being quite a bit better, but they're over the average, I would say. So that is not a bad position, but once again, they are far cry away from the top value pick, which is the TLG12. How about at 100% PWM fan signaling? Well, here they rank once again right up towards the top, but the TLG12 still beats them. But if you want maximum performance per dollar, the P12 Max is definitely your top pick here. How about in CFM testing? Well, once again, they rank in the upper portion of the graphs in value, but even though their maximum performance was actually kind of not that great compared to other fans. So this is where having a cheap fan comes in mind. Now, a fan is better than no fan, but you also need to make sure that the airflow going through the case is streamlined enough to have efficient airflow. Alright, and at the end of every video, I do like to show off my raw data. Now this data does belong to me. However, if you want to use it for your own purposes, meaning you put it into your own Excel chart to basically have my data at hand for whenever you're planning on buying a computer, you are more than welcome to do so. However, if you're going to use it in any sort of video, publication, or journal, I do ask that you reference me and my channel. If you're going to do a react video to this, I do ask that you come talk to me first. You probably have permission to do it. Other than that, if there are any particular fans you'd like me to review in the future, just leave it in the comment sections down below. I will try to get my hands on it to take a look at it. If you've got constructive criticism for me on how I can improve my videos to make it much more entertaining to watch, I do read through it and will try to implement it. Just note, it may take a little while for me to implement it into my videos because I tend to buy a bunch of fans all at once and then record all at once and then slowly release over time as I get finished editing things. So it just may take time for me to get to the next lot. Otherwise, I appreciate all of you who have joined me on Patreon. It's going to really help this channel grow and improve the overall testing that I'm able to do to compete with the big dogs in the industry. None of them are aerospace engineers like I am, so they don't understand this topic as well as I do. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate each and one of you for checking out this video and making it this far in it. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you next time here on Computer Tech and More.